Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and things have really picked it up. For one of these teams, they're going to be saying goodbye. Their hopes and dreams of making it to the top tier, their hopes and dreams of getting that prize money, and more importantly, making a name for themselves are going to be all but dashed here. Quick Esports versus EREUS. A tough upset loss to Dreamlight knocked EREUS down to the lower bracket a lot earlier than they would have liked to, and they are hungry on their lower bracket run to make themselves into something, into a big deal, into a top 2 contender, to make it into LCS relegation, to maybe reach that highest level. And for Quick Esports, something similar. 0907, it was a tough match, but Quick Esports did manage to just about drag it over the line. Unfortunately, they had to face the impenetrable wall that was Vision Esports, and that ended the only way we can imagine it ending, in a 3-0 sweep. Absolute dominant fashion, which puts these two teams very close together, and I think that's going to be the story of this match. Right now, I truly cannot put one team ahead of the other. I am Egda, joined by Natnif. Should be a brilliant matchup that we have today.
Yeah, I have once again Pokemon evolutioned into a dog with no thoughts in my head, so I can purely just receive the cinema of Overwatch ahead of us. And talking about both the teams' journey, ironically, whoever team ends up beating this, it's a high likelihood we're going to see them rematch against one of the teams they had that map 5 against, as the other lower bracket quarterfinals is going to be Dreamlight versus 0907. So it could be a situation again where we see a rematch versus these two teams for who each of them knocked each other down, of course. Quick Esports knocking down 0907, a close 3-2, a lot closer than people expected. And of course, even more on the extremity of the spectrum, EREUS might have to fight against Dreamlight if it ends up being the case they can take ahead. But yeah, this is two teams that are definitely followed by very interesting narratives. This was meant to be EREUS' season. Of course, there were other big names coming in, notably, like I said, Vision Esports, the shoe-ins into the OWSS regular season. But now, knocked down so early, it has been a real difference here, because they were so dominant in the regular factor, only losing their match to Vision Esports at the end. And versus Quick Esports as well, they're two very different styles. We've seen EREUS typically go towards more of that Zarya Venture style that's been so iconic for them. It's been feared across the lands. Unfortunately, Venture has been banned out here. I believe we're going to Oasis map number 1. That said, EREUS again have been changing their own narrative and moving away from this one-trick kind of reputation that follows them around. They've looked really good on Winston, Lucio, Kiri. They've looked really good on Orisa even, versus Anomaly a while back, and that's likely, of course, who they'll be facing off in the lower bracket final. But yeah, very interesting stuff from EREUS, and of course, Quick are known so much for their ball. It is going to be a real clashing of styles here. Both teams are known for their iconic looks, but also something to note out as well. EREUS might have a bit more of a struggle because currently the Zarya perk that is so instrumental to a lot of their Zarya success is bugged. The piercing perk does not have that good hit registration currently in the moment, which means that a lot of the times, what is at one point a strength for Zarya in being able to mitigate those rough tank matchups, the Ramatras, the Orisas, because you can just beam the background through them, is less of an option right now. So that kind of ace in the hole for EREUS is out of the case. That said, even with all these mitigating factors, this could easily go the distance. I'm expecting a 3-2 of some regard here, and honestly, I can't decide who's going to win. EREUS are, on paper, the better team, but Egda, I mean, if you had to sway me either way or the other, what would you be leaning towards here?
Right, yeah, I need to have a think about that one. So, EREUS's signature style with the Zarya and the Venture, and you explained it quite well, how that's not going to be as effective anymore on account of the bugs, on account of the Venture ban that comes into our first map, which is Control as well, which, thinking about it, is realistically kind of the best option for both of these teams, if that makes sense, right? Quick Esports, they favor things like Control, Push, Flashpoint, because it enables the Wrecking Ball. Now, of course, both of these teams know a little bit in their minds that they are one-trick ponies. And what they have to do is try and figure out a way to break out of that. Now, something tells me that there's going to be a fairly respectful handshake, at least in this first matchup. Yes, the Venture is banned. Quick Esports, of course, don't particularly care about that. They're going to play They're going to play the ball. They're going to play a Tracer alongside it. And also, just kind of speaking about that Tracer, the Venture ban also has a severe impact on the ability to play that Tracer. Tracer is already busted right now. Venture is one of the few things which can kind of counteract a Tracer if you're able to play in enclosed space and bunker down. Tracer can't really walk in, get within the range of the Venture without the threat of just being absolutely eviscerated. However, Venture banned out, which means that Tracer, and therefore particularly Evil, is going to be even more of a threat than he usually is.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Evil and Golden Pants have kind of been the stars of the show for me on Quick. I mean, everyone from Quick has had their own individual elements, and clearly as well, the Brig is a scary factor for Quick Esports. Jacob not on the lineup and Brig banned out anyway. It's kind of funny how, like, both of the teams have banned out, like, arguably one of their one-trick players, and the rest of the team have gone, okay, we'll just summon someone else, Gar, we can just step in if Brig's not available. And we have seen iCav and Sleek also share playtime with Jesper Swag. If the Venture is unavailable, it's pretty common we'll see this cast Tracer come in with iCav looking electric on this Cassidy and Sleek as well on the Tracer. That said, he did struggle into Sully from Super Shy, the coach of Super Shy, a few bit ago. So Sleek has to be careful to kind of keep his form. Of course, no diss to Sully. That guy is just apparently a beast on the Tracer as well as on the coaching department. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here. Volts are in as well with Texel. Again, indicates that Lucio style. If Brig was going to be played, if Pingu is going to be in, the good Pingu, not the one on Quick Esports Nova. But across the board, Oasis looks to be coming back into style. But both of these teams have their own kind of points around their comfort, because that university place, the university submap, a lot better for the probably the EREUS team here. And then for, I guess, the downtown, is it called, with the high grounds and the center pillar, is more likely a lot better for the Bull.
City Center, I believe.
Yes, that's the one. So I think it could be a nice little microcosm for the rest of the match to see how it's going to unfold. Some early warning signs to see what the teams kind of lend towards. Is that flexibility there, like you suggested? And also just who is going to come out between these matchups? Because again, EREUS, they finished, what, I think third, fourth last season. They were looking to push the top two. They achieved that in the regular season. They have
EREUS finished second. EREUS only had one loss. Yeah, EREUS only had one loss.
Oh, so yeah, in the regular season.
Vision.
Yeah. But in the previous season, so season 4, I believe, they finished third, just barely out of that promotion bracket. So again, hungry for that to prove themselves. They can go against the likes of Dip versus 100 Gorillas and I believe it's Frost Tails they'll be facing. But Quick have been, they are the underdogs here, to say the least. That said, they do have so much individual firepower, and again, that Wrecking Ball can be so difficult to kind of get around, especially just in the head-to-head matchup. If the Zarya is in play, which again is unlikely in this first matchup, Ball is one of the best counters to that. You can really disrupt any kind of pushes from that Zarya with the boops. Winston as well is something that is not so much in the wheelhouse for Quick, but is a possibility. But yeah, overall, I think it's going to be very interesting. There is a pause that should be ending soon. At least looking to the FACEIT screen, I'm not 100% certain. I think it's still being delayed, which is, understandable. Classic. We're getting at all the delays in this first map just to make it as smooth an experience as possible.
It means that we'll have nothing for the next part. It means that everything will run smoothly, and surely we'll have a perfectly functioning stream for the rest of it. Happens to the best of us. But yeah, no, EREUS and Quick, they did face off about a month ago, beginning of June. EREUS won that 3-1, fairly dominant, pretty easy fashion. So EREUS are another team that have kind of cracked the Quick formula. There aren't many of them. Quick have only really suffered losses to... looking at the record specifically, Quick have only suffered their losses to Vision, because of course, EREUS 3-1, and Anomaly in a 3-0, right? Aside from that, it doesn't seem that any other team has really been able to crack the Quick Esports formula. And so for EREUS, I think you're going to be going into this with a bit of a confidence boost. It's not like you're trying to suddenly metagame like a bunch. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're trying to stick to your basics and say, okay, we've beaten this once. Whatever we did, whether that's a change in character, whether that's a change in style, whatever we did back then, we can just do now. again, there's the possibility that Quick have adapted to it, and then suddenly the pendulum falls back in the favor of EREUS, having to think, okay, well, now what the hell do we do? But if we're being perfectly honest, the onus is not on EREUS right now. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They don't have to invent any crazy new strategies. They just have to do what they did beforehand.
Yeah, that said though, even though historically this matchup has been pretty good, EREUS haven't, that loss versus Dreamlight has raised some questions for this roster, but hopefully as we head into Oasis here, we should be getting some more proof to the pudding for how Quick can do. I see Golden Pants hovering the Winston here again, champion on that hero, but still not what they're mostly known for, and of course the Orisa, again, not Lars' super comfortable pick, but still both tank highly proficient here. But yeah, I think we are going to see the Winston's being stuck out here from Golden Pants. The names are flipped to the moment. We've not just... Both teams haven't exchanged and bought rosters. And both teams now trying to get their ideal situations. EREUS playing around the main and Quick Esports playing on the main, and EREUS playing in those small little rooms, making it very difficult for any successful dives to come through from the Winston composition.
Yeah, that's kind of what that's kind of the name of the game for EREUS here. Provided that they stick within enclosed environments, Quick don't have much of an opportunity to get in, right? Eventually, however, they have to step to the point, and that's when a problem comes through. A problem by the name of Evil, who takes out Volta, one of your key backliners. Someone like a Winston doesn't necessarily need the Lucio to ferry them about the place, but an Orisa, quite a slow-moving, lumbering target, very much needs that assistance. And without it, it seems like the members of EREUS are going to become sitting ducks, barring one late stagger onto Golden Pants. And Whitebeard possibly staggering himself out, because why the hell not? This love of the game. It is going to be Quick Esports taking a first cap.
Just barely. I mean, they're trying to cling on here. Sleep will suppress her at a moment, and it's an unfortunate disconnect from Fenris there. Of course, it's fine. Again, first map doesn't count. Guys, it's okay. We're getting all the stuff out of the way, and yeah. That said, though, pretty interesting start here. Quick seems to be taking the lead. Golden Pants off onto this Winston. I think it does make more kind of sense. Like, you can't get as many early hits as possible, it seems, on this kind of enclosed map. The Winston bubble has more of a viability into those kind of smaller enclosed rooms than that of the prowess of the Bull, which is not particularly in those kind of areas. We are going to see, of course, that Cassidy come out. This has been kind of since, like, even in the full domination of the Prayer, we did see ICAV in specifically playing that Cassidy and playing those kind of shorter angles from the start. And Sojan as well from the side of Fenris. Neither of these two teams going towards that Freya is, I mean, maybe surprising to you if you've not seen the evolution from the start of this season, but now does make kind of sense. But we saw that in the individual scraps that Quick mechanically just kind of came out on top there, even if they got some trades.
Yeah. The Sojan in particular is going to be a problem. Obviously, a Sojan who has had to unfortunately reset the ult charge, so that is actually going to somewhat set back the Quick ultimate economy. Both these teams in somewhat even spots in terms of those ultimate builds up, and you can see with EREUS, it's really unfortunate for them that they just aren't able to sit in a small room and cap the point. No, you have to move on to it eventually. And Quick Esports, you can see them just waiting. However, a Deadeye is going to be a good tool to zone. Golden Pants is able to get back onto the point, and now it's a Kitsune Rush out from Texol. Apply a little bit more pressure. That stick was absolutely disgusting. I see why they call the man Sleek now, because he's just absolutely slick with it.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the team needs to be kind of falling over in the wake as well. EREUS do lose themselves 42% off the point, but now slowly gaining back up. They do invest both their DPS ults there, but their trade as well from the side of the Kitsunes. Lars as well is notably ahead on Golden Pants, who seems to be very struggling into this comp. Of course, probably will scale quite well with the perks when they get online. That said, this is a very dastardly combo to walk into, and Bolts are still ahead on the beach just by a little bit at the moment. With Golden Patch trying to get a staging jump in, it gets their bubble forced out, which means they can't really do any kind of engagements. Now ICAV and the rest of the team can just walk on in. Fenris as well enclosed off here, but Lars gets peppered back there. Has a rail to work with now, does Fenris. The Golden Patch is getting closer to that Primal Rage. This is the calm right before the storm. Beat invested from side of Whitebeard. Golden Pants isolates Lars there with the help of the bubble. And there's no counter beat in response. Lars thought the Terror Surge would be enough to keep him up, but Fenris is proving that the muscle power of Quick right now is more than enough to shut everyone else down with 3k for them.
Quick are gonna
quick
have to
take
do a
control.
Quick are gonna have to do a spectacular bait right now, but to be honest, they have the tools to do it. In essence, they exchanged their sound barrier for the fight win. That's never going to be a bad thing, particularly, especially because you have so many resources to back yourself up with. You're going to get an overclock, a primal for disruption. You can play to just force the beat and then bounce back with your own ultimates afterwards.
Yeah, there's the beat, just barely comes out. Everyone from inside of EREUS needs that time. And Golden Pants, he might also get a big HP bar from that primal, but it's instantly gone. So now all eyes are on Fenris to hit some kind of shots, but the overclock's also dissipated and no kills to come with it. There's a high number point if needed as well, but right now they're cleaning up. That said, late played onto Evil means that maybe if Quick can get back in fast, they have a rush to work with. And Whitebeard also is rapidly building up, already 60% to another beat. Golden Pants onto the Orisa as well here, mirroring this one out. Just struggling too much on the Winston in kind of these two enclosed spaces. And the only difference is going to be that Sojourn. There's so many ults inside of EREUS. Both Kitsunes to start this one off.
Yeah, and now the only differential that we see, aside from Evil differentiating the entire
Oh.
backline, is going to be the Cass versus the Sojourn. Who wins? This time seems like the Cass will get the better of it, but there's a lot of developments to be made with 85% on the point remaining and the members of Quick Esports falling slowly but surely. Now it's 90%. Whitebeard potentially has a sound barrier to be able to touch this point, and Golden Pants has swapped over to the Wrecking Ball as well, just for the opportunity to retouch here. Whoever is going to touch the point can just very much be snapped up into the arms and the jaws of Lars and that Terror Surge.
Yeah, B is out though. Volts are 50% away, so Evil and Co have to find a lot of impact right now. That Lucio running on top. Good pulse on onto Textile though. No, Cthulhu has to keep him alive, and Volta gets traded, so still support advantage. That said, now it's a man equalization there. Lars does fall though, so this should be Quick's fight to win. No more trades though to come through, and Golden Pants back on the ball. Just in the nick of time, get themselves another fighting chance here. That said, EREUS will be walking back into this with an ult advantage. It's not an immediate one at that, but Volta is ahead. Texel is also ahead. Both supports bottling towards that next ultimate, and that could be enough here. That said though, Quick Esports, if they can get a successful hit here with a ball slam in, trying to force any resources they can, could be enough. And Fenris is coming towards another overclock. That said, first hit come through, shield expended as well, and EREUS have so many tools to clear this point with.
They're going to have to run with a strat that they would much rather not. And you can see that once EREUS is on the point, they can scout every single angle that Golden Pants is going to come from. Deadeye means that the point has flipped as well, so now the onus is on Quick Esports, not just to clear the point, but just to reclaim it as well. And they're going to have to do it without two of their members, because Sleek and ICAV, the DPS, have gone absolutely stir crazy over here. Lars still holding the line with a Kitsune Rush to aid and abet the crimes that are being committed to the members of Quick right now. They're going to trickle back on one by one, but it's all going to be for naught, it seems, with Evil being the late one to fall. And Golden Pants, despite somehow charging a minefield in all the ensuing chaos, it's not going to be good enough. Quick Esports, they lose the first point, and this first map will set the momentum for the entirety of this series. Remember, it's not just the map win, but it also sets the ban Preston out. You know, the team that wins map 1 are going to get the ability
so much damage
to pick more of their favored maps, use more of their favored bans as time goes on.
That being said, that was close. Like, a few points off in the percentage there. 99 to 100 as well, and this ult charge. Denver's coming on overclock. Ace with the Casino Rush. Golden Pants had a minefield as well. They were all so close to those possibly fight-winning ultimates. But that's a rough point to lose. At this point, it's probably arguably even worse to the ball, but Quick Esports are going to be sticking with it, and that seems to be, you know, this is their comfort where they have the most success. Evil back on the Tracer. EREUS sticking with the exact same thing they worked with last time and won with last time. But how can they make this work? You're going to see all of EREUS just playing inside the small room, and we saw Quick really struggle with this in Division. They couldn't actually get any hits to come through because there's just this amazing spot to kite into. EREUS as well, not going to be happy to let Quick get any kind of perfect hit onto them with any kind of dive, so we'll continue to poke at any of those resources. And the point's unlocked, and right now, EREUS the one standing firm on it.
Yeah, Golden Pants unfortunately scouted before being able to, you know, actually effectively pressure the point. Means that Lars is the only member of EREUS that really has to pop their head out, while the rest can just play very safe in the enclosed environment. Sleep takes the duel with Evil and wins it out. This gives an opportunity for EREUS to invade the high ground, storm the castle, so to speak, that Quick Esports have built themselves up here. And now there's control of the point. Quick are going to maintain at least a decently strong high ground position, and their Tracer's going to get back into proceedings sooner rather than later.
Yeah, but that's just a rough one to lose because even though they have this high ground, they can't really do anything. They can't sail the inside of this enclosed little room that EREUS is just bunkering down in. And FACEIT has a rail finally lands a connection. That's a clean one to sleep, but Evil does get traded, so it's an equal numbers at the moment. Guards and Golden Pants both trading resources, but Golden Pants needs to get topped up again. EREUS still have control of the point. Ace is ahead on this Kitsune Rush, but Whitebeard being down means it's now going to be a big clutch using that Kitsune Rush to try and find anything high unit on the point to clear it and make it so no one can use it. But Ikeva's falling low. Golden Pants finds a tickle there across the map with the house, and FACEIT is coming alive on this Soldier, and then again finds sleep when they're back into the fray. Texel invests their Kitsune Rush and trying to clutch this one out. And it almost seems like the rest of Quick have had to flee the scene of their crime, and now the rest of the gang have rejoined Lars in numbers, and they're still holding on to this point. Evil has to find a connection with the Pulse Bomb. Golden Pants coming out on the mines, but EREUS have their beat. And so it's still up in the air, and Quick are just struggling, trying to find any kind of purchase, but Lars is the one going in aggressive with his Terror Surge.
The entire time, this point's been ticking the way of EREUS as well. Quick Esports, sure, you can fight a protracted brawl, but if you don't get the kills, it doesn't mean a damn thing. Volta trading onto Evil. Lars dead means that the tank presence is now gone. It has to be Fenris to be the hero again. Threads the needle, too, with the overclock before Texel's able to finish it off before falling themselves. And now Quick finally have themselves back into this. They finally have to be able to breathe a sigh of relief, but they cannot hold that forever because they're fighting into an uncontested sound barrier.
Oh, the one early hit they can get before EREUS get into their comfort zone of the small point gets scouted out by Lars. Now Golden Path has to try and juggle this point. FACEIT is still getting back into the fray, has rejoined, but need to find a lot of emphasis on this DPS here because right now Golden Path is kind of just floundering around in the water. In fact, he's not finding the water, he's swimming all the way down to sleep with the fishes. It's all going to be on FACEIT able to find something because this is going to be a final fight here most likely. Volta invests the beat. Ace maybe can't go another Kitsune Rush, but have to keep themselves alive first of all, and they can't do that for themselves or the rest of their team. There's no way in a touch can come through there, especially with that hinder nade. And even though it does come through, Golden Pants has nothing to work with, absolutely just bones and rags. The rest of his team has to watch on sadly from the spawn room as EREUS take that 2-0. It was a much closer start, but EREUS sharpened themselves back into form and made that a lot less competitive than that first round, and they look very much to be in the driver's seat at the moment.
Yeah, goodness me. EREUS seem to have cracked the code. They seem to have cracked it well. I mean, you're in a spot there for Quick where the Wrecking Ball just didn't make a lot of sense to be run there. Yes, it's a comfort thing, but Quick are... And here's kind of what I expect about them. They have their strong suit, which is the ball composition, especially if they're able to run like a Brig Zen or something, then oh my god, amazing. But they also know when they've had enough. They know when it's time to stop. They know when they're being a bit too silly, and when it's not playable, then they're just not going to play it. This is what happens when you try and force it into a situation where you just cannot play it. That's a point in which the Orisa comp can just sit themselves in that small room. You only really need to send like 1 or 2 players onto the point to keep it contested. Meanwhile, everyone else is safe. Who do you want to go into that small room against a Cass and Orisa? You want a Wrecking Ball there? You want a Tracer there? Are you insane? You know what I mean? It's so much of a struggle, and it's just not really a map that favored Quick when it came down to it.
Yeah, and like once that point is unlocked, Quick could not dislodge EREUS from there, and that was just the crux of it all. They just bunkered down there, held the point. Even when a couple kills came through, FACEIT hit some nice shots across the board, and you know, as well, Ace I think built some pretty fast Kitsune rushes, but they just couldn't use them in any effective way to get them off that point. And this is the issue with Quick. They will just live and die by this ball. We saw the Winster come out, we saw the Orisa come out to... I think it's optimistic to say middling success, even though I'm sure they're attempting to try and branch out onto these different looks. But again, when you have a superstar performance on the ball, it's dominant, it's scary, but there's so many hero bans, there's so many map picks that can, disable this ball from coming into full strength. And even though Quick have the next pick, That bull ban is still available. They might have to think about, do they have to expend even a tank ban to protect their ball as well? It's so many different layers to enabling and disabling. That said, we are going to go to Suravasa, and I believe that is Quick banning the Junker Queen versus Lars, a very smart move. And it's going to be the Zen again disabled. That Brig Zen that you were excited to see is still not going to be available here. So I guess we'll just be back to the Lucio Kiri, maybe the Lucio Ana. But it will probably be just this Bull versus the Orisa matchup yet again.
And I think while on the topic of the hero bans, one thing to mention is that EREUS are really good with the bans, as strange as it sounds. From what little I know from their main support player, Volta, EREUS really plan out their bans, and they have, like, I'm not sure what exactly it is. It could be like a doc, it could be a spreadsheet, something along those lines, to basically just specifically detail exactly what is being banned in every single situation. Most teams, I suppose, I'll be honest, I can only think about bans one-dimensionally. That's the level my brain is at. Something like, okay, well, if we have a Zen, and we want to give our Zen lots of space, then we'll ban out like a Tracer, or ban out a Sombra. We're going to Circuit, we don't want to get into a hit scan duel, we're going to ban Widow, we're going to ban Freya, ban Sigma, maybe, you know? EREUS think, like, a lot deeper than that. They are basically looking for, okay, what is the map we're going to? What is our strat and our win condition? What is their strat and their win condition? Which specific ban is going to do that as best as humanly possible? And to be honest, it's a point where I cannot thoroughly explain every single ban that EREUS does. However, it certainly accrued them a lot of success this season. Obviously, they have some spectacular players, no doubt about it. Every single one of these players has a bright future. But if you think about it, they aren't really winning by virtue of being big names, right? Players like, you know, ICAV, Sleek, Lars, Texol, Volta, even though they've been around, even though they're very well respected, they're not like, you know, big names. It's no Violet and Choicer one on your team, but they've still been playing at that level.
Yeah, they have been around, and they've been attempting to kind of push themselves up and above the rest of the kind of tier 2 and kind of murky waters, and really trying to distinguish them as big playmakers and smart ones as well. They have just incredible coaching staff as well. Tobias and Taylor both, you know, working in tandem with these players to really enlighten their potential. But this is, you know, if there's any map where Quick need to do well, it's going to be this one. Suravasa is just very, very good for Bull. Yes, you lose your Zen. That said, there's a lot of backlines that can still work with the Bull. To be fair, the Zen, you know, likes playing those long fights. The Discord makes your hits a lot more lethal, and it can enable your Tracer a lot. You also like to see Jacob in with the Brig Zen, like probably like some of the best individually on those heroes in the region. But still, the Queen ban, it's not going to be that too... I don't think it's going to be too thick of a thorn in the side of EREUS either. They have the Zarya, they have the Orisa, they can play the Ram if all comes to it, they play the Hazard as well. Lots of different looks to play with. We are going to still likely see this Tracer cast come into fray as Jesper Swag and Pingu are both sitting on the bench. We'll have to see. Hopefully we head into the Suravasa map soon enough here. And normally, sometimes as well, we do tend to see Aurora come into play sometimes here, because some of these points can be kind of rough for Bull, but...
Yeah, Wild Rory's sighting, but no, it seems...
Yeah.
If you pick Suravasa from Quick, it means that you're going with the Bull. If Quick lose this, then they're also going to go to Runasapi as their third map, which is the map that when they faced off beforehand, it was a 3-1 victory to EREUS. That was the map that Quick Esports were able to take. So we know exactly what's going to happen there, and then thinking maybe even go into 5D chess from the 4D chess we were playing. EREUS might then choose Colosseo instead to take push out of the equation so that Quick cannot go to Runasapi. You see how interconnected it is. You see how, like, downloaded these teams are with each other. You know, they are at the top of their game. They play so well, and they play each other so close generally, that is kind of the level of 5D chess that you need to be figuring out.
Yeah. And it is going to be that Bull with the Arna Lucio. versus that Kiriko Lucio. It's going to be difficult for. I say difficult. It's not going to be as straightforward as you'd like for your Ana to kind of just, hit one big nade you win. You have to force out that cleanse, which, is possible with the impact of Evil and Golden Pants. And as long as you don't stack your nade and slam in the first hit, you should get generally some value. That said, Ace is a lot more easy to run down with Lars and Volta pairing up with that spear spin, making it nigh impossible for Ace to get away or have any kind of resistance with the sleep. Both teams taking either sides of the point. There's the initial engagement. Nade is perfectly timed. The hits onto Lars even after the cleanse, but unfortunately it is Lars hitting the arrest. So neither Icon has been isolated, and Varus taken out Sleek. EREUS still have a fairly strong hold in this position. So Quick still need to get a couple more picks to shake this point loose. That said, they do get the cap.
Yeah. From what little we've seen right now, Quick appear to just be running circles around the members of EREUS. Whitebread's able to even utilize the dive potential of the Lucio, the hidden secret ending, I suppose. Who gets all the kills? Is it Evil? Is it Golden Pants? No, it's Whitebread, because of course it is. But yeah, playing aggressively is good for the Quick comp. I also really like the Ana. Simply because EREUS can't do a ton to contest it. Against just one Tracer, Lucio Ana should be able to duel that off relatively easily. Yes. Ana can very much keep her distance, use those anti-nades to great effect.
Yeah, I mean, with the angles that Ace is playing, just keeping that immense distance, like you said, is very difficult to get anything onto them. That said, though, you do have to kind of watch out because you want to be able to get that LOS. And if you are playing so far back, there is a risk that you can't help people when they need to. And especially holding on to this point, which Quick are now having to try and defend themselves. The beat is good against the 4 members there. Volta lagging behind, so this is the opening for Quick to find something. But High Noon is pretty lethal. That said, even more lethal, the giant glowing redirected Wrecking Ball into your backline. That said, somehow Lars has found its way onto Ace in the chaos. But Evil trading Texel later beat though. Cubitoning Factor and Volta trying to match Whitebeard's bloodthirstiness also finds Friend Rest. Equal numbers so far, but there are still ults on either side that could be the X Factor. There's the pulse, lands onto Volta. Evil throws it onto Lars, but Volta jumps into it, trying to provide some kind of moral support there. And Evil finds their second kill. Quick will get the point back. ICAP is still around the fray, and his Texel has returned as well, so the point still, never mind, is in their favor. But Quick should be a lot quicker to get back into the action.
Yeah, that's entirely what their comp is about. Golden Pants hit with a hinder, able to drop the mines on the point. The get away from me, our minefield comes out, and it's able to at least relieve the pressure on his life a little bit. But on the point, it's not going to be all that impactful. You can see the slam assassination attempt onto ICAV, but that was well scouted. Already had the roll, damage reduction, damage, the healing, all of that support. Great sleep, however, comes through onto the Tracer at the final end. 4v3 situation now. EREUS have reclaimed the point back. Seems that Quick were able to flip it for just a moment. That means that with the Wrecking Ball, there is actually a brief window of opportunity for Quick Esports to get the touch on the point. Will there be an entire fight win? Has yet to be seen.
Yeah, Golden Pants will be the one stepping up. Has to invest in shields there as well. Ooh, well, it's a perfect spot to pause, I guess, or not, because Golden Pants now have to try and get a second touch here without those shields, and does manage to dodge the mindful. There's a nano just in time, but Texel is able to respond. High Noon as well. On top of it, overtime trickling down. No one touches! All members of Quick are alive, but Golden Pants trying to zone that High Noon and get away from it. It was just too good. ICA's been racking up to these High Noons so far, so they're just able to really shut on any kind of push attempt there, but Quick really let one slip away. They were up like 90% by the time EREUS were able to get the fight back. ICAV and Texel clutched up too, it's scaring off Golden Patch on the point to allow it to happen. That's gonna hurt for Quick. You invest in Nano Boost as well. I mean, EREUS do trade a fair ult back, but still, that's gotta feel rough.
Yeah, EREUS didn't even play that particularly proactively. It just felt like they were really doing a good job of scouting the threats of the Tracer and the Wrecking Ball, and that point wasn't won with a lot of flank potential. Texel turns around, does a 180 right through Evil's throat there. That's going to be a hell of a gory execution. Members of Quick Esports forced to retreat here. Sound barrier for both of these Lucios is going to be the main use of the ultimates here. However, Quick, they don't really have a lot else to work with. Compare that to EREUS, Terra Surge, Pulse Bomb combination. I think that's something that I want to see, and I want to see it now.
Yeah, I mean, you have the minefield to try and open up and maybe get a kind of point flip, but if you stray any of the squishies too close to that combo, even Golden Pants at this point, it's going to be rough. And Sleek is just doing a great job of marking out Evil, marking Golden Pants, making sure that perfect hit that is basically impossible to live through doesn't come through. beat available for both sides. Golden Pants is trying to work his way onto the point, but he's so low, he can't do anything. Sleek just marking the point perfectly, has access to the high ground as well, wants to go for the flanking pulse on, which he will. Fenris caught with their pants down there, and Sleek managed to open up this fight even more in their favor. Quick Esports now down their key damage dealer. What can they do? Win the Trace of one, apparently. Evil just styles on Sleek there. The DPS might be matching each other in their performances, but Golden Pants is struggling to get anything done. Overtime has been triggered. ICAP has another High Noon, and Whitebeard's not able to get the beat off in time again. So now, what can Quick do but watch on, maybe into the face of a High Noon, if they're lucky to get any other ults out of this. Can anyone even touch again? No, it's a second. It's not really a C9, but it's kind of a sad, deflated one of that. Just everyone from EREUS laughing at the point as Quick looked longingly at it, and now EREUS are on Flashpoint point.
To be honest, Quick, it didn't feel like they had a fight for that entire Flashpoint. They had the initial skirmish, and then a big stagger, and then another stagger, and then another big stagger. Quick, this is the problem. Their comp, often with the Wrecking Ball, is about controlled chaos. Sometimes you can border that into just chaos, which no one really wants and is not going to win you games against teams the caliber of EREUS.
This repeat of Golden Pads is trying to get any kind of hit, but gets scouted out. Nano boost on top of them, hindered up, slammed out, beat in their face. Like, what can you do? Yes, maybe a bit of a later beat from Quick, and never mind, Golden Pads has some kind of tech there to make the kill happen. Volta next in their sights. Volta has taken out Ace, though. I mean, this comp doesn't need an Ana as much, but probably Golden Pants, Sarah Surge is threatening that, and Fenris falling as well is disastrous. Golden Pants, though, does get the boop there on the Texel with the mines. I mean, the pulse on is maybe able to take out last. It just barely is. And this should be Quick trying to clutch this one out. Any kind of late trades here, though, would be disastrous. And thankfully, Volta and next looks to be Sleek are taken out of the equation. But Quick, that was a struggle. Like, you can see this comp. They just always want to go for as many... What? Huh? What? Was that a boop on high ground? Or I don't know what that was. And now Quick are floundering as well for any kind of answer. Another early engagement scouted out. Golden Pants getting zero opportunity to do anything.
Quite literally, who knows? Yeah, Golden Pants is just so marked. It seems like EREUS is always aware. If Golden Pants is one step ahead, EREUS are two. And they're just cleaning up this point right now. ICAV able to get some late picks here. They've reclaimed control of the point. They only really need one more fight to put themselves into match point to send Quick packing to just dash their hopes and dreams.
There's not really that many options here for Quick. I mean, you're 70% to a minefield, you're coming up on another beat, maybe. Pulse Armor is online for Sleek, and this should be like maybe your best chance of winning for Quick here. There's not many options. This is a great pause. Somebody just talk about all the ults online or the lack of them from the side of Quick Esports. But the thing is, by the time you get those ults, it's going to be like a 90% on the board from the side of EREUS. So even if you win that fight, they're going to come back with their own ults. And the crux of it all is the bull comp is just not being able to bull. Golden Pants is marked out every opportunity with boops, Suzus, spears, hinder nades, everything. All those early hits that are so powerful are completely denied. So
Yeah, feed's currently being restarted. The clean
fight.
feed, yes, the clean feed is having some issues though. Looking at the FACEIT page, do we want to spoil the results of what's happened, or?
Well, I mean, considering how fast you that, I can maybe guess what's gone ahead, but maybe
I would be very surprised if it was not a 2-0. You know what I mean? Be very shocked.
Who knows? Who knows?
We're still working on. Well, yeah, we're still working on getting the.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at these stats, like, it's rough. Fenris is being marked out so much, and they have to put themselves in such dangerous positions, it feels like, to get anything done. Currently, like, 6 and 7. That's, typically we see such a great performance from them. Superstar, uprising, playing on Yuri Mirai, Gibble Mirai now onto, the Quick Esports roster. And it's just really difficult to get anything done. As a whole, I'm not putting any individual blame on really on these players, because it's just a comp difference and an execution difference overall. It's just disastrous. And yeah, the 2-0 is going to ensure that it's now match point. Thank you for FACEIT for cutting out the clean feed mid-fight. But I guess it's just, maybe some EREUS propaganda. Maybe Quick almost had it and they had to cut that out.
You have us for a long while now, because the map is finished. We don't know exactly what happened in that final fight, but what we can assume is that, it was closed out. Of course it'll be closed out. Really strong work coming out from the team of EREUS, and now your backs are against a wall here for Quick. We have already seen 2 teams leave this tournament, Wasp Bono and Gas Tier 3. They've already been knocked out. So that's going to be the $700 to $800 slots. Next, we're looking at the $1,000 slots. Quick Esports look like they could be a victim of that, along with, over on the other side of the lower bracket, 0907, who are currently being dominated by Dreamlight, 2-0 to them. Wow. Dreamlight seems to have really turned a new leaf. They were never a bad team, let's be honest.
No, I basically cast a lot of this core in the Nordic E-League, and they were super scary, very, very dominant, and just overall super strong across that entire tournament. But that was, a Nordic E-League is a lot more localized than currently what could be looking to, be the top of the top of tier 2 in this FACEIT league. So yeah, a scary force to deal with. Of course, they will have to face either Quick or EREUS. If Quick can mount some kind of a reverse sweep here, it would be very impressive. And please, everyone, put some kind of ritual in place, because if I see Quick Esports take us to Circuit Royale to put Golden Pants in on Alari, I'm gonna lose it. I know
they picked Runasapi. They picked Runasapi.
Okay. Everyone, you can put down.
I'm sorry, but it is exactly how I played it up. They're going to go to Runasapi. Golden Pants going to go to the one spot that he always goes on to get the initial slam. However, I think the main difference is this is going to be scouted by EREUS. There's a lot of complexities, and I cannot speak for every single decision that's being made by the members of EREUS. The general idea that I'm seeing is shoot this hamster. Shoot the hell out of the hamster. Yeah. Wherever he goes, look at him. Ping him all the time. Shoot him on the angles. Flashbang him. Spear him. Everything. However, EREUS has in turn banned Tracer. Yeah. And this is clever. What we've seen before is, in a situation like this, there's going to be a ban on maybe the Brig or the Zen, just to stop the Brig-Zen backline being possible. Now, of course, both those have been banned out, so what do they go with? They go with the Tracer. Why do they go with the Tracer? It means that there's going to be a lot less follow-up. Quick, kind of following in the footsteps of what they always do on this map, ban Hazard. They want to have the enemy team sort of remain static. They do not really want to get into a tank matchup with a Hazard. Yeah. Is there anything... I'm actually going to ask that. Is there anything more to the Hazard Ball matchup? Because it's not really one that I think about very often. To be honest, it seems relatively neutral. They're mostly just kind of ignoring each other.
It's less of the Hazard versus Bull and more of the Hazard versus the Brig. Jacob is going to be in, so Brig is going to be in. And Brig notoriously does not like playing into Hazard. We will see the most diehard Brig players go Zen or something just to mess with this Hazard more, because the slashes can go through the shield. There's the whip shot as well doesn't even help you that much. It's so much pressure to deal with, and try and keep your support alive with burst damage as well. The packs don't really help all that too much, and we are going to finally see into fruition that Briggs back in, like you said, with Jacob in and Ace still in. Again, this has been clearly a scary. This has to be it, do or die. Quick have to not only make this map count in a win, but also build some momentum, try and get something on their side, because right now the only thing that Godomaster is rolling over is his entire team following him up this mountain they're attempting to climb. Also, talking about iconic looks here, Jesper Swag in the lineup, Swag Nation rising up on the venture, Lars with the Zarya too, And Evil, of course, going over to the Sombra with that Tracer ban makes the most sense. It's the most, like, equivalent hero. That said, you are still not as sustainable into those fights, had amount of follow-up, but EMP, very nice ultimate, and Fenris as well. Mostly known for when I kind of knew them from this Ashe. I mean, I'm finally seeing it. The least popular hits I'd say at the moment is coming into play on this Runa Sapi map. Oh, it's the same. It's the same one again. Every match you started up there.
Same spot. So this time it doesn't actually seem like anyone really knows. So a slam comes through. The combination of the Venture Zarya is kind of blindly obvious. The bubbles are mostly going to be used on the Venture to enable the aggression and clear space for everyone else, because it forces you into like a do you or don't you shoot them situation against the Venture, which can be pretty awkward to deal with. That being said, if Evil is able to stick around and eventually maybe get the hack onto Jesper, that could cause a brief panic moment. Venture is a character that very much relies on their abilities to get through. Both these teams trading for now, but the enhanced point presence of a Zarya, just the superior nature of that compared to a Wrecking Ball, means that EREUS are able to start getting their lead on the point, start just taking space slowly but surely. And this is kind of the point. EREUS, yes, they're going with these kind of hits with the Zarya Venture, but they're not looking for big all-in plays. They're just doing it over and over again to force Quick into uncomfortable positions, and mostly just to take space and point presence. Force a mistake from Quick, like maybe Fenris stepping up a little too hard into the crosshairs of ICAV.
You've got to be pulling my pinky at this point. Like, EREUS have just gotten the checkpoint with like 2 kills. Two kills, 2 minutes? Quick just could not get a hit coming through. Fenris is going to go over
and to be honest, it's not like... It's just the threat of the Venture. It's not like Jesper's even built that much ult charge or done that much damage. It's just like so threatening.
Yeah, the idea of Jesper Swag, the aura basically, unironically, is what's doing enough, because those hits, those cycles are just relentless. This Venture is practically immortal already, and that is... Your uptime is even more with these Zarya bubbles. That said, early rush, double support ults coming out, none thrown out from Quickest. Watch us yet. Golden Pants has to kind of escape there in time being. Transcendence is the first one thrown out, but there's a high noon, which means Jacob doesn't get anything from that Transcendence because it's some burst damage all the way through. Golden Pants now employing the minefields and have shields, might get caught out with them, and they do just for Swag, hunting them down with Tempting Shock. And it's been all EREUS all day so far, even more than the Safi map, which you said was the last time that Quick took a map of them. But right now, EREUS hungry to prove that that is not happening here again today. They're already above 110 meters here, and Quick have not got a single one. And Fenris is stranded on the Mega Pack here.
This kid has so much aura! He can't move! It's actually crazy! ICAP, however, plays an angle very aggressively, gets punished via Jacob's rally. So things are going to be just fine for the members of Quick. Lars, again, the Zarya without those bubbles is going to be very, very squishy. That being said, there's actually been some great support coming out, but no, Quick finally win in the protracted engage. Okay, and 117 meters. That is a tough day at the office for the members of Quick Esports to come back from. Where can they begin, Natnif? Where can they begin?
It's literally from the bottom. Like, you get it back to the neutral here. EREUS still have their grab. Because what's had it from a lot there. They do have that win button with the EMP. It's probably the best fight. But you have to win so many in a row. Early slam onto... the EMP comes out, but the bubble's just too good. And the grab is so much better. Cat's under 3 members there. But they've got him at this round. ICAB. Swag finds their one. Finds their 2 there on the back of it all. Looking to hunt down the 3rd. I believe who is that in that small room? Is it Ace cowering in the corner? But even though Quick used arguably their best ultimate, the bubble is just too good. Lars dodges the EMP and mitigates the entirety of that, which means, well, like, we wonder where they're going to start from. It's right where back they just finished that last fight, and Ace has been staggered out so early.
Jesper's going to be able to retreat to the rest of the team and can get the bubble to actually just utilize the Tectonic Shock aggressively. Now, granted, was it somewhat of a boneheaded decision to run straight into the overclocked minefield? Maybe, but again, all that we have established this entire game is that Jesper has aura.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm looking forward to it because I know that my flex team is getting venture coaching from this guy, but right now they just look unstoppable, and they have another 2 support ults to work with. Ace has a Transcendence, but I have looking for some deja vu with this high noon if he feels like it. Beat out, double support ults overlap, so maybe quick get away, but Fenris not so fortunate. There's Transcendence again. Can they get any kind of value from it? No, Jacob still dies in it from the high charge beam onto that Kitsune rush. And Quick, they just cannot get a footing. They keep slowing down. I'd make a metaphor here about the boulder, but we're seeing right before our eyes, Golden Pants and co are trying to get up this mountain and continually just rolling themselves over. ICAF still has his high noon. Quick Esports maybe have the rally to work with, but this could be a full cap here depending on how this engagement goes.
Yeah, it's very much possible here. You can see Fenris trying to play on angles. Jesper generally just beats him to him. ICAV holding down the entire point with the high noon. Members of Quick Esports have to scatter into such awkward positions. You can try and assassinate the backline, but it is out of sync. Evil is in when Golden Pants is not, and because of that, they're both going to be down and out for the count right here. Quick Esports, you've had a great run this season. It's been a long, tumultuous journey, and actually you don't seem to want to put it to rest because Fenris is here to put in some work and try and just barely hold on. And that's the season just held on by Fenris clutching up and refusing to die.
I didn't even know that 140 meters wasn't a full cap, but thankfully Quick Esports do, and it's gonna be a hell of a journey to get across the entire way. They have to face a grab, another double support ult. They have the EMP and the minefield again, but they need to actually get some impact going through. But there's so many outplays EREUS can do with the bubbles, with the Suzu. I mean, as the minefield trying to open things up, maybe trying to force resources, Gemstag has been forced to, vacate the premises. That said, just drill and dash out, and they're completely fine. That's so much stall. That's one ult down already for Quick. Looking for the EMP. There's the engagement. Just catch on the Texel, and there's the assassination follow-up. Quick finally seems to be winning the fight there, but Lars gets a trade, almost barely a second as well. ICAF might be able to convert it, just barely not.
Yeah, really good ultimate use. That's the recovery that you needed. And interestingly, Quick are actually going to be adjusting their backline, going over to the Juno Brig. They recognize just how squishy the Zen was. And it's not like Juno is not a squishy target, but definitely has a little more sustain, a little more survivability, a little more mobility than a Zenyatta does.
But you like that Discord, the X Factor beat does come out in the response of Lars with the Graviton Surge, just catches onto everyone there. And Golden Pants as well, late to be staggered out most likely. We're seeing here the secondary perk for Lars being picked, that I think it's the Spotter perk that really just buffs up Jesper Swag's movement speed even more, got recently buffed, and it makes sense. You're not having that tank match up into, okay, Jesper Swag, I'm not sure, trying to discover new kind of rollouts here. At this point, EREUS have all the confidence in the world. Maybe the Rise have to change that, but there's the High Noon, there's the Kitsune, there's all the ults in the world, and everyone from Quick is tumbling over.
Yeah, one by one, they all come tumbling down. Golden Pant's going to have to retreat to the spawn room. We've been here before. EREUS was not able to quite close out last time, but you can see Golden Pants hiding behind this tiny rock. You're too big. You're a giant mechanical hamster, my guy. It's not going to work out. Ace barely able to come back, however, with the orbital ray. Such a strong ultimate in its own right means that Quick can obtain another coup de, another stay of execution here. EREUS not quite able to just sink the nail in.
Yeah, but every time they've got there, it's been a car crash to get all the way back to their spawn at this point, and they've only got 5 minutes on the board. They have to get momentum going. They can't be forced to use their own ult on their own side of the point. This Michael has to be big. Hinder though is going to make that a lot less lethal. The bubble as well onto ICAP, make sure that no kills come through.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. You want to get a big slam, but that just puts you in the air much longer to be hit by that nade. Jesper going flying. You'd think the fella's Superman, but in the meantime, Quick Esports finally trading pretty well on the front line. They're able to take out some key members of EREUS. They're able to do it relatively cheaply as well. Bot has been stolen on the flip side. This doesn't mean EREUS are going to win the fight, but it's going to delay the possible comeback from Quick even more. It took them like, what, 5-10 more seconds to just push the bot up to this middle checkpoint.
They almost got forward spawn off that as, wait, did they get forward spot? No, I don't think they did, but just
didn't.
barely. That said, Jacob has been putting on some heroics, so his back line quick has been stepping up some of need, so now it's going to be on this front line to do the same as well. The EMP, a bit of a hit and miss, and trying to solo EMP the Zarya, and the impact just isn't there. Now just Swag gets to go in, has that Touch Shock almost ready to work with Fenris. It's covered with an overclock, it's going to be overtime if they can make anything happen with the high noon. Clears everything out. Ace goes down in the midst of the round, even beat as well. Everyone from Quick Esports is falling on down in their season as hard as they try. Ends here, falling to Quick here. Vision Esports and EREUS seal their fate out of the lower brackets despite a valiant effort, and EREUS walk away with the 3-0.
Goodness me. That's
Get rid of the match chat now.
That is the season done for the members of Quick Esports. Goodness me, they have really, they've really put in some strong work. They've done a great job. Again, this roster wasn't actually Quick Esports for quite a while. Initially, they were, I believe it was Gibble Mirai, who have also been playing in the past as Yurei Mirai. All of these players, very new, very hungry, and they have just burst onto the scene. If we're being honest, did we expect them to win this matchup? No, not particularly. The matchup itself was relatively one-sided as well. But again, Quick Esports, they've performed phenomenally this entire season. I think they have a lot to be proud of. They're going to be finishing in the 5th to 6th position, meaning that they're so close to that level of greatness, right? If you want to say like top 4 puts you around the like contention level for LCS relegation, and top 2 puts you firmly within that, and you say, okay, you know, you are LCS level, then, you know, you've only got a little more to push, and I think this team can do it.
Yeah. I mean, it is, like you said, just the start of their journey here for Quick. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this team, all like young players, both in the scene and age-wise as well. Gundam has only just become eligible to play here, and definitely a lot of superstar performances down the line for them. But EREUS, the more proven veterans, they will come out on top, so congratulations for them. Congratulations, though, you know, they'll be facing off, I believe, against Anomaly, so again, another top matchup, and then Division in the grand finals. But again, they are super close to that promotion relegation scene, so wishing them all the best in their journey there as well. But that will be it from us on the Quick stream here for the end of this FACEIT Season 5. Thank you very much to Egda for joining me, for Lawal on the production as well, and to our sponsors, Gamerpad, Hummel, Network Specialisten, and all the rest of the gang and crew that have worked on this stream throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, I think that is going to be us closing up here. Hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend watching the rest of the streams. I believe we're heading to a raid soon as well. But until then, until next season, we hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll have to see you then. Bye-bye.